Hello everyone, and welcome back to some more Shining Song Starnova with me, Phantom Zwei. This is the demo of Shining Song Starnova, I should say. So I assume it's not going to be terribly long, but hey, I could be wrong. Some visual novels have their opening parts be hours and hours long, and this one might be the same, we'll see. So let's continue. The Shining Productions office consisted of just a small break room and a main office. There was a separate dance studio on the first floor of the tenement, which the office leased for practices. Overall, we just had the barest minimum level of facilities required to run an idol agency. The Golden Calf offices where I used to work had floors upon floors of photo stages, various sets used for shooting PVs, as well as facilities for talent such as spas, pools, and restaurants. Compared to all that, we essentially worked in squalor. I sat at my new desk, located at one of the corners of the office space, and reviewed the girls. The physical examination was mostly to check for obvious problems with the talents' physical appearances. Large birthmarks, stretch marks, scars, etc. reduced a candidate's commercial value, and so every talent had to be screened for such defects. Again with those judgmental looks. I'm just a producer doing his job. Put those pitchforks down. A row of girls dressed in swimsuits stood before my desk. Please slowly rotate yourselves so I can get a clear view of you at every angle. The girls did as I asked. It didn't seem like any of them had any problems. Not like I anticipated any. As one could expect from girls applying to be idols, each of their bodies had their respective charm. There was no question that the average man on the street would be overjoyed to have any one of these girls even express interest in him. You want Aki-chan to get into a sexy pose for you? No. That won't be necessary. Okay, looks like everyone passes. You can go ahead and get dressed now. Eh? Over already? And I got all excited to get into a swimsuit. It kinda made me think we were all headed to the beach or something. Of course we weren't going to do that in February, you idiot! Figures. Hey, Oni-chan, does that mean that we'll be debuting as a unit? Aki poked her head into my physical space by leaning on my desk. That's currently in the planning stages. For now, the presumption is that all 7 of you will be working together in the same unit. Of course, that doesn't rule out the possibility of subunits or solo work as well. In other words, nothing much has been decided, huh? The girls lingered on in their swimsuits, apparently too focused on asking me questions. I could understand where they were coming from, though. No doubt they all had questions about what was going to happen next. What about photo shoots, radio shows, or television appearances? We're working on that as well. Hurry, Oni-chan! Aki-chan wants to do some sexy gravure. I actually don't know how you say that word, so hopefully that's sort of right. Aki winked at me and bent down, pulling attention to her petite collarbones. Never mind that, we need a debut song before anything. Where are we even going to get a song? I will be preparing that. You? So you have a songwriter lined up? No. Actually, I'll be writing it. Eh? I may not look like it, but I'm also a composer. Well, would you look at that? P-kun's a surprisingly talented fellow. I'll have to listen to what he makes before making that judgment. Well, I guess we can get right to the interviews then. Despite the girls still wearing nothing but swimsuits, none of them particularly seemed opposed to continuing the discussion, as expected of idol candidates. As you most likely are aware, our company requires all talents to follow a code of conduct. Now, I would say that we're more relaxed than most other agencies, but please try to conduct yourself in a manner befitting of future idols. First off, have you had any past or current relationships with men? Obviously not. Now, Aki-chan's too young for that. Na-chan's such a loser. Never even had a boyfriend before. I can claim no experience myself. None. The Dark Lord is the only man I serve. I can't say I ever have. Well, no surprises there. Besides, even if these girls are total players who cycle one guy every week, it's not like any of them were going to confess to their producer right now. The only reason why producers even ask this question is to set up a legally valid claim for fraud if we discover later that the girls aren't as virginal as they claimed. I'm just performing my due diligence to the company. After asking a few more questions and receiving various generic, non-offensive answers from the girls, the interview concluded. Well, you could say everyone passes. We were the only candidates. For now, I've prepared a lesson plan, consisting of dance and vocal practices. Please devote yourself to the lessons. I guess we don't really have a choice. Alright, let's get to it. Now, please get prepared for the afternoon dance session. The girls eyed me. Oh. I stood and vacated the premises once more before they changed. The girls stood around in shorts and t-shirts in the dance studio in preparation of their first lesson. It feels like things are finally starting up again. I wonder if this, what our new dance instructor is gonna be like. I bet you it's the producer again. I hope the instructor's not too strict. I entered the room pushing a cart with a DVD player and television screen on top. High quality production here. The girls gathered around as I pushed the cart to the front of the studio. Don't tell me. I put a DVD into the player and turned the screen on. A recording of a dance instructor played on the television. These DVDs will be your lessons for now. You mean we won't even have live instruction? Figures. I guess a cheap agency like this wouldn't be able to afford a real instructor after all. Natan. That girl had one hell of a mouth. She seemed like one whose provincial blockhead. Bleh, one of those provincial blockheads who just spoke off whatever was in her head without a lick of restraint. I rubbed the back of my head, feeling awkward as hell. Please bear with the individual practices for now. The girls stared at me, their previous enthusiasm wiped from their eyes. Meanwhile, the girls slumped through practice with the barest minimum of effort. Everyone sighed and changed back into their regular clothes as practice came to an end. Everyone murmured good work to each other. Everyone's a little down, aren't they? Honestly, I'm disappointed. I thought this agency would be better than this. Are we really going to be able to become idols like this? Ah well, it's all because we messed up our chances before. It's not like we're pretty little youngins anymore. That train's already sailed past. Natan. Whatever. I've got to get to work now. Mariah's working 2 jobs? 3. What do you expect? How are we supposed to survive in town just doing this? Natan's got to work too. What kind of work? Construction. Somehow that suits you, Natan. Gotta build up my muscles. What about you, Sasa-chan? Me? I just help out at my parents' business. It's an old karaoke bar. That sounds nice. I just live with my parents. Everything's easier when you're young, huh? Seriously, it's not like I want to, but I don't really have a choice. What about Mika-chan and the rest? This one's life is devoted to the Black Road. A servant of the Black does not require earthly sustenance. Devotion to the path is all one needs. In other words, you're just a NEET, huh? Well, I guess I do some other stuff. Like? Stuff! Look at the time. I gotta get going. Okay, let's get going. The group first went upstairs to say goodbye to me in the office, and then exited the office. Alrighty. Moving on to the next day. Of course, the purpose of a talent agency is to sell its talent. Whether to record labels, magazine publishers, television stations, or film studios, I had to be constantly advertising our employees. To that end, I arranged for a professional photographer to come to our office and take professional portraits of all our workers. I cleared out a section of our office and dropped down a white curtain from whiteboard to jerry-rig a makeshift photo stage. It was a far cry from the extravagant photo shoots of my previous workplace, but for now, this was the best we could do. The girls lined up to get their portraits taken one by one, or at least that was the plan. Oh, is she drunk again? Mariah, what's the matter? You out drinking late again?
Can't really help it. I didn't get out of work till 4 a.m. You know, I really don't know how old geezers twice my age can smoke and drink the night away and show up to work the next day totally fine. Baldy showed up again to complain about his ex-wife. Kept ordering whiskey all night long. After the 4th one, I was already feeling kinda out of it. Don't really know what happened from the 7th on.
I decided to turn a blind eye to what I was hearing. While certain agencies would no doubt have thrown a hissy fit about one of their talents moonlighting at a hostess bar, it was clear all the girls here had their various circumstances. I was no exception myself. Anyways, I knew well enough that the girls here had to supplant their income with additional jobs to survive. Becoming an idol wasn't a walk in the park. The world spun around according to its own rules, and nobody here was going to change that. First up, Shimazaki-san. Sasami stood in front of the camera and put on her best smile. Shimazaki Sasami, formerly with Golden Calf. She appeared to me as the girl next door kind of persona. Of course, these kinds of characters have been popular forever, although in more recent years they've suffered from competition from newer and more aggressive character types. Basically, they appeal to more conservative fans who like something traditional. Blech. Unfortunately, she was avoiding contact with me at all costs, thanks to that incident. Next up, Kashiwagi-san. Aki struck a dynamic pose with her finger outstretched towards the camera. Kashiwagi Aki, perhaps the girl with the greatest potential here. While she was obviously going to have to drop her child idol image, she still had ample time left in her prime. It was hard to pin down exactly what her personality was like. She was a shapeshifter, able to play to her audience's expectations. Honestly, Aki was whoever people wanted her to be. She was a child molded and raised by this industry. Was I supposed to be concerned or proud about that? Next, Yamamoto-san. Oh no. Mariah gingerly stood up and put on a well-rehearsed smile. Yamamoto Mariah. She had the most experience out of all the talents here, but also came with an assortment of liabilities. She was also a former Golden Calf talent. No doubt they threw her under the rug as soon as she outgrew her use. After some research, I discovered she debuted 7 years ago in the 21-member Quasar unit, but never attained much notoriety. Huge units were like that. Most were set up to encourage infighting amongst the members, as they tried to climb into the coveted top spot, while those unable to survive the bloodbath were pushed into obscurity. As she turned 24, Golden Calf quietly retired her, and she wandered jobs until ending up at Shining Productions. Now she was a jaded woman of 25 years. Yes, the ripe old age of 25 once again, with an alcohol and tobacco problem. While you think someone like that could never become an idol, you'd be surprised just how common those problems were, even amongst the most popular idols. Hey, I'm not here to sugarcoat this business. I've seen some crazy stuff myself. Tanabe-san. Natan leaped up and grinned stupidly to the camera. Grinned stupidly. Tanabe Natsuki, a true wildcard. She had no prior experience in the industry. Honestly, she had a huge mouth, which leaked the worst possible words at the worst possible time. However, she had an incredibly fit body and the stamina of a beast. Nowadays, honest girls were popular too. This industry had been spewing out obedient wife material for decades now, and now people wanted to see girls in their native habitats. What a strange way of putting it. Or at least that would be the angle I would use to sell her. Watanabe-san. Understood. Julie flipped her long hair back and smiled confidently. Watanabe Julie, a stunningly good-looking spider. Girls like her like poking little stab wounds into men's hearts, their fangs dripping with tranquilizing venom. A cocktail of both pain and pleasure. Alrighty. According to my research, she had a long history of changing agencies due to various reasons, one of which was no doubt involved her biting personality. Given how hush-hush her previous employers have been about her, I suspect she's gotten herself into quite a bit of controversy. Ah yes, the great taboo topic of the industry. I best stop here before the powder keg bursts. While she had the looks to become a top idol, what was inside her pretty exterior was another matter entirely. Now she was squarely my responsibility. Currently, she was beyond what I could handle, so I was more than content to observe what happened next. Hashimoto-san. Mika stood and posed in an outlandish fashion. Hashimoto Mika. Despite her bizarre personality, it didn't take long to figure out that she was actually the shyest of the group. Really? More than, Sasha? I can't remember her name. Oh, there's so many girls. Anyway. For the most part, she avoided contact with the other girls, and generally came off as a recluse. Most likely, her role-playing was a defense mechanism she used to communicate with others without exposing her real self. While one might be left wondering how a girl like her could ever become a pop sensation, Mika was thoroughly a girl of Neo Akiba. Recluse with no life, no friends, and an obsession with late-night anime, she was the female embodiment of otakudom. Ah yes, Mika. Mr. Producer understands you. Oh wait, what am I thinking? While I was born and raised an Akiba man myself, you could expect from my current line of work, my job was to be her professional manager, nothing more. I put my thoughts in order. Akimoto-san. Nimue acknowledged me in a sing-song manner, and smiled absent-mindedly in front of the photo stage. Akimoto Nimue, the daughter of a local real estate magnate? Anyway. A life of plenty of... let me try again, I'm getting tongue-tied here. A life of plenty had no doubt made Nimue completely oblivious to the toils of the common folk, and now she floated about in her own realm without a worry in the world. Looks like I was going to play babysitter for the rich now. In any matter, she had a bombshell of a body and a personality made for an idol. For all intents and purposes, I should be glad to have lucked out and picked up a candidate with such high starting stats. Further, having the backing of a rich and powerful family could have benefits of its own. It definitely looked like Nimue was a winner, to the point where somewhere deep inside of me, I had to wonder if she was too good to be true. I can definitely see where he's coming from. With that, the photograph session was over. After speaking to me, the photographer packed up his equipment and left the office. Onishan, do you have a name for our unit? A unit name, huh? We're going to need one if we're going to debut, you know. Aki was certainly right. In fact, I had spent the last couple of days thinking about this very topic. I've been giving it a crack. Natan opened up a notebook, almost exploding with excitement. How about I can't talk. Sunshine Splash. Too generic. Sunshine Sunday. Why Sunday? How about Le Jeune Fille? Too hard to pronounce. What the hell is that? French? Actually, I've already assigned the unit a name. 7 faces turned towards me. The girls simultaneously leaned into my desk, their faces looming over me like 7 carnivores who had just cornered their prey. I spun my computer's monitor over to face them, revealing an Excel spread with the word Starnova written on top of it. Starnova? It means new star in Latin. I believed it was a fitting title for our new group. Well, I guess I could live with Starnova. It still sounds a bit generic to me. Suddenly, Natan stood at attention, as if she realized she had left the stove on at home or something. What? You're scaring me. Starnova? Kinda like a supernova, huh? I read about it once. It's when a star finally reaches the end of its lifespan and explodes in an enormous kapow! Suddenly, I felt 7 pairs of eyes boring into my skull with disdain. Well, I didn't mean it like that. You messed up real good there, eh, Pikun? It's over. Our unit name's pretty much the summation of my career into a single word. I should have known things would go this way. Well, we'll go with the new star interpretation instead of that. Once again, everyone moped back to work, their motivation idling at the lowest possible bar. The second day of practice ended. Good work, everyone. Good work. Mariah turned her cell phone on. Time for work again, eh? Will you be alright? I'm just waitressing at Izakaya tonight. At least I want to stand around, listen to some bald geezer's life story over whiskey tonight. Julie's cell phone chimed. Looks like that's my cue too. Sasami looked on as Julia grabbed her bag and rushed out of the office. Sasami, that's her name. It's going to take me quite a while to learn their names. Alright, let's go for round 2. Mariah stretched out, her bones creaking and cracking, and hustled out of the building as well. I sat at my desk, illuminated only by the light of my computer screen. Starnova. New stars. The beginning. No, not a beginning. For the better or worse, these girls' lives have already begun long before this unit. I wasn't producing a bunch of fresh-faced middle schoolers with big dreams of becoming Japan's next top idol. Idol. A shining, pure white symbol, before which men prostrated themselves. Untainted. Perfect. Immortal. Unbound by pathetic human needs. A goddess. An icon of purity. An idea. Not human. Not a girl. The girls before me were anything but that. They were broken. Cracked. And by the very industry they chose to enter. Maybe once upon a time they were innocent young kids who thought their stories would end with a happy concert in front of thousands of adoring fans. But the reality was that the dream only happened to the luckiest 0.01% of girls who entered this industry. Or maybe only the 0.01 most shrewd, ruthless percent. Maybe the dream never existed at all. One day, every kid has to realize the world isn't fair. You're not the star of your own story. Life has no moral or point. It was just a long struggle to survive, until the day you eventually got old and die. The door creaked open, interrupting my thoughts. Very nihilistic thoughts, but... Mr. Producer? Shimazaki-san. She stood before me in the darkness. I need your help. What is it? It's Julie-chan. I let out a sigh. So Sasami was here to play hero. I knew I was about to get wrapped up in something I would regret getting involved in. Shimazaki-san. I want you to think about the implications of what you're insinuating here, and what it could do to Watanabe-san if I were to take action. If you leave now, I'll carry on with my work as if this conversation never happened. Starnova will continue as planned. The girl's sudden shout took me aback. Mr. Producer, aren't some things more important than getting famous? Or shining on a stage? I know you think so too, because of what you did that day. What was this girl thinking? She was never going to become an idol with this kind of half-hearted dedication. Like I said, only the shrewd and ruthless survive in this industry. No wonder this lamb was dying here, instead of still a golden calf climbing her way to stardom. I looked down at myself. Here I was, too, adrift on the same boat. Alright, let's go. Mr. Producer. Okay, So what's going on? I walked out into the bustling pleasure district with Sasami. As usual, the streets were adorned with bright lights and bustling with Tokyoites. A flood of salarymen, couples, and single men looking to become coupled steadily flowed into the countless bars lining the street. What was I doing? It was just my second day as a producer, but here I was, already getting myself into exactly the sort of trouble I wanted to avoid. She's been doing this for a while. Every night, around this time, she picks someone up here. I bent down and whispered to her. What are you doing? Don't you know how much trouble this will make for Watanabe? Was this girl really here to help Julie? Or was she just trying to bring about a rival's fall? Of course, countless aspiring idols would eagerly turn on their teammates without a second thought if it meant they could gain some kind of advantage. However, I got the impression that Sasami was not that kind of personality. I know you're a good person. What Julie-chan is doing is dangerous, you know? You've got to help her. Just like you helped me. I rubbed my brow in frustration. I couldn't believe this girl decided to trust me so easily. She thinks I'm going to help Julie? What naivete was this? Finally, we spotted Julie below a street lamp. The two of us took cover behind a bench and observed the situation. Due to the flood of people walking through the walkway, the likelihood of Julie detecting us was minimal. A short time later, a salaryman approached Julie and discreetly slipped her an envelope. Julie pulled out its contents and counted the bills. Upon confirming payment, her personality changed in an instant. She wrapped her arms around the salaryman's arm, all smiles, and walked with him down the street. Come on, Mr. Producer, we have to follow her. Sasami took off and tailed the pair. With an enormous sigh, I took off after them. You know, if I didn't know better, I would have thought you brought me here just to take out a rival. What do you mean? Isn't it obvious? I already have enough evidence to kick Julie out from the agency, and probably sue her for punitive and liquidated damages to boot. She's committed serious fraud against the company. Producer-san, I know you wouldn't do that. Shouldn't you help her instead so that she can become an idol? Instead of falling into something a lot more dangerous. Look here. I'm an idol producer, not a priest. I got so into my speech that I nearly walked into an incoming pedestrian. I spun out of the way and resumed my talk. My duty is to the company. If a girl brings risk, then it's my job to cut out the liabilities. Producer-san. I looked ahead to see Julie laughing and nodding at everything her date was saying. He reached into his coat and withdrew a present, which Julie accepted with delight. I shook my head. And from the looks of it, it's her mark that's in a whole lot more trouble than her. Eh? What do you mean? Look! Julie looked at her watch. Looks like the initial time's up. Eh? Already? But I can do just 500 yen to hold hands, or a full 1,000. Amelia-tan will put Oni-chan's arm against her chest. For real? Then the 1,000, please. The poor sap handed a 1,000 yen bill, which Julie pocketed with smiles. Yay! Amelia-tan's so happy! She took his arm and held it warmly against her side, giving him a moment's side boob service. Before he could even react, Julie rushed him along. Hoo, it's a total sucker tonight. I'm gonna make quite a bit off of him. I rubbed my face in dismay. What was this sad sight? I was dragged here under the pretense of saving some poor girl from accidentally falling into the clutches of the human trafficking industry or something. But instead, I come out here to see her fleecing this poor man's paycheck dry, and using nothing but smiles and sweet nothings. Clearly, this world was a complicated place where the shrewd preyed on the gullible regardless of gender. I better start documenting all of this so the ensuing termination of employment goes as smoothly as possible. And Julie stopped in front of a high-caliber French restaurant with her mark. Hey, this much isn't a problem for Oni-chan, is it? Eh? Holy! Look at those prices! Eh? I see, so it's too much. Julie disconnected herself from him and pouted. It just can't be helped then, eh? She took a step backwards, threatening to dissolve into the crowd. Of course Oni-chan can pay for it. Haha, who do you think I am? This much is a piece of cake. Oh, this poor bastard. Really? All right. Julie rushed forward and wrapped herself around him again. The two of them entered the restaurant and sat down at a booth. Shortly afterwards, the waiter delivered a basket of sliced baguette. Hey, Oni-chan, for just 500 yen, Amelia-tan will feed him the bread. She will? All right. He's not even asking questions anymore. With the passage of a coin, Julie picked up a slice of bread. Say ah. Ha ha ha. Ah. But seriously, clever girl. Using small but frequent microtransactions to make every interaction look cheap, but still racking up a pretty impressive combined earning. Shit, she's probably taking home more than I am from doing my job. To think people are actually dumb enough to fall for tricks like these. Can't believe it. I shook my head as the thaw date went on, despair at the state of society bubbling inside of me. Finally, the two of them finished their dinner and left the restaurant. Despite his monthly paycheck most likely being nuked by the full-course meal, the poor sap left with a completely blissful look on his face as Julie hung onto his arm. I guess it's time to call it a night. Really? But it's so early. I know. For 2,000 yen, I'll give Oni-chan a goodbye kiss. But since I had such a great time, I'll give a 25% discount. A kiss? A real kiss? What, you've never been kissed by a girl before? What a hopeless Oni-chan. Will Amelia-tan be his first kiss? The poor sap literally went red in the face. Unbelievable. Literally unbelievable. This was the state of men in this country. Alright, if Amelia-tan's alright with it, then it's only natural that a date would end with a kiss. Alright. The idiot eagerly opened his wallet and gave Julie 2,000 yen bills, completely forgetting about the aforementioned discount. As soon as the bills passed into Julie's pocket, she leaned in and gave him a swift peck beside the lips, more akin to a goodnight kiss given by a mother to a daughter than a romantic makeout session that you'd see in a Western movie. While he was still dazzled by the prospect of being kissed by a stunning girl like Julie, she leaped away and disengaged, the deed already finished. Then I'll see you. It's over? But wait! You know how to call me. With that, Julie vanished into the crowd. I can't wait until next time. The now penniless man sighed in contentment, his wallet as empty as the contents of his head. That was a great line. Julie counted her earnings like a satisfied wolf that had just devoured a lamb. That guy was a total pushover. Now, on to the next client. The night's still young, and there's more lonely otaku to fleece. I stood before Julie, my hands on my hips, with Sasami nervously hiding behind me. Producer-san! And Sasa-chan too? Julie looked nervously around for an escape path. Don't try to pull anything. I already saw everything. The English curse. Well, it's not a big problem, is it? What's the big deal anyways? What I'm doing isn't different from idol work in the first place? I let guys imagine I'm going out with them, and they pay me. It's not any different from working at a maid cafe or a hostess bar. Listen, you've disqualified yourself from ever becoming an idol. I'm going back to the office and drafting your termination notice. Fine. I admit it. You caught me red-handed, producer-san. Looks like I'm totally under your authority here. So, what do you want to make this disappear? Disappear? Oi. Level with me here, producer-san. There's nothing in the world that can't be solved by the exchange of a favor for a favor, right? I shook my head. Having witnessed the way she operated firsthand, I wasn't about to fall for her tricks. Hey, look here. Stop it. This isn't just going to disappear. This is going to haunt your career for as long as you're an idol. One day... The sight of Sasami on the verge of tears put a dampener on my anger. What a fiasco. I should have just kept my nose out of this. But now that all this happened, I had to act on behalf of the company. There wasn't much I could do anyways. Anyways, that's that. Since this happened so soon, the company won't press for damages or anything. But there's no way we're going to let you work at Shining Productions at this rate. Before the girls could protest, I decided to beat a hasty retreat. It's not my fault things ended up this way. I wasn't the guy who thought up the rules. None of this was my problem. With those thoughts justifying my actions, I returned home for the night. Well, that's the thing that happened. Alright, and since we're heading into a new day, it looks like a good place to end this episode. So I'm enjoying it. I like how this thing does not pull its punches, and kind of like how dirty and gritty things can be, in this line of work, I suppose. Though the main character is a little bit of a prick. But, I guess that makes it, at least he's not a goody-goody, right? He's obviously going to be on the girl's side, in the end, I imagine. Because, how else are you going to make this work? But I do appreciate that he's not just some, he's not like the sap we just met. So, yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope to see you in the next one.